Good morning and welcome to Virtual Classroom Project. It's a web initiative of Department of Geology, Government VYTPG Autonomous College Durg. Today we are going to discuss a topic from metamorphic petrology, Barrovian zones, index minerals and isogrids and Buchan zones. One of the first studies of the metamorphism of metaphyletic rocks was undertaken in the southern highlands of Scotland, where George Barrow in 1893 introduced the concept of metamorphic zones. Barrow studied the Dalradian supergroup. It's a sequence of sediments with minor volcanic rocks. During the Devonian Caledonian orogeny, this group of rocks was metamorphosed to the grades ranging from green schist to upper amphibolite facies. Here we can see the location of the study area of George Barrow in the regional geological map of Scottish Highland, which is a part of Great Britain. The southeastern margin of this metamorphic belt is marked by the highland boundary fault, which juxtaposes weakly metamorphosed Dalradian metasedimentary rocks against the unmetamorphosed Devonian sedimentary rocks. The Dalradian rocks just north of the fault are slates that preserve much of their sedimentary structure. Within a short distance from the highland boundary fault, the rocks increase in grade to become garnet bearing and change from philitic rocks to schists. Transacting farther northwest, the metamorphic grade increases from garnet through starolite and kyanite to become sillimanite bearing sequence, which is now known as Barrovian metamorphism. The Barrovian sequence of metamorphism. Barrow recognized three metamorphic zones in the Dalradian supergroup, and Tilley in 1925 later identified three more low-grade zones. These zones were identified and defined in terms of the first appearance of the key minerals. With increasing grade, the zones are chloride zone, biotite zone, garnet zone, starolite zone, kyanite zone and sillimanite zone. Now let us discuss the characteristics of these zones. In the chloride zone, the phyletic rocks are slates or phyllites and typically contain chlorite, muscovite, quartz and albite. The biotite zone consists of phyllites and schists with biotite, chlorite, muscovite, quartz and albite. The garnet zone consists of schists with conspicuous red almandine garnet, usually with biotite, chlorite, muscovite, quartz and albite or oligoclase. The starolite zone consists of schists with starolite, biotite, muscovite, quartz, garnet and plagioclase. Some chlorite may persist in this zone. The kyanite zone contains schists with kyanite, biotite, muscovite, quartz, plagioclase and usually garnet and starolite. The last and the highest metamorphic grade zone is sillimanite zone. It consists of schists and gneisses with sillimanite, biotite, muscovite, quartz, plagioclase, garnet and perhaps starolite. Some kyanite may also be present, although kyanite and sillimanite both are polymorphs of Al2SiO5. Now let us try to understand what is isogrid. Tilley coined the term isogrid for boundary that separates zones. An isogrid then was intended to indicate a line in the field of constant metamorphic grade. Isogrades are perhaps best considered to be irregular curved surfaces in space, and the mapped isogrades thus represent the intersection of the isogradic surfaces with the Earth surface. An isograde, in this classical sense, represents the first appearance of a particular metamorphic index mineral in the field as one progresses up metamorphic grade. When one crosses an isograde, such as biotite isograde, one enters the biotite zone. Zones thus have the same name as the isograde that forms its low-grade boundary. Because classic isogrades are based on the first appearance of a mineral and not its disappearance, an index mineral may still be stable in the higher grade zones. We can define isograde as the line which separates the zones, a line in the field of constant metamorphic grade. It also reflects the first appearance of the index mineral. As we have seen the zones studied by Barrow, now there is some variation which occurs in the area just north of Barrow's study area, that is in the Banff and Buchan district. The pellitic compositions are similar, but the sequence of isogrades is chlorite, biotite, garnet, andalusite and sillimanite. Some regional metamorphic terranes preserve mineral assemblages in pellitic rocks that equilibrated at distinctively lower pressure than the typical Barrovian zone assemblages. Hart and Hudson in 1979 have described several separate sequences of metamorphic zones in the northeast Scotland, each corresponding to heating over a different range of pressures. Their Buchel zonal sequence provides a good example of distinctively low pressure metamorphism, fairly typical of many thermal aureoles. Although the metamorphism here is notionally regional, magmatic heat input was undoubtedly important. Metamorphic zones in the Buchan area of Scotland, northeast of the Aberdeen, have long served as the type terrain for such rocks, and hence they are called as Buchan zones. Other well-known Buchan zones occur in New England, US, and Proterozoics of Australia. In the Banff and Buchan district, the pellitic compositions are similar to those in the Barrows areas, but the isograde sequence, as we have discussed, it has changed a little bit, and cordierite and andalusite, they appear in these zones. Now, from the phase diagram of Al2SiO5 system, we can see that the stability field of andalusite occurs at pressures less than, whereas kyanite can only give way to sillimanite at the sillimanite isograde above this pressure. Also, the molar volume of cordierite is relatively large, indicating that it too is a small, low pressure mineral. From this, we can conclude that the geothermal gradient in this northern district was higher than in the Barrows areas, and rocks at any equivalent temperature must have been at a lower pressure. In this pressure temperature phase diagram, we can see the progressive increase in grades in case of Barrovian zones as well as in case of Buchan zones. And as we can see over here, the stability field of andalusite, it occurs at pressures less than 0.37 GPa, that is approximately 10 kilometers. while kyanite changes to sillimanite at the sillimanite isograde only above this pressure. This is another metamorphic field gradient diagram, and it clearly shows the difference of the pressure temperature conditions of Barrovian zones and Buchan zones. This lower pressure temperature variation of the on the Barrovian type theme has been called Buchan type of metamorphism, which is also relatively common. Miyashiro in 1961, from his work in the Abukuma Plateau of Japan, called a similar low pressure temperature variant Abukuma type metamorphism. Both terms, Buchan and Abukuma, are common in the literature and they mean essentially the same thing. There is a clear similarity with paletic mineral assemblages in contact metamorphic areoles developed around magmatic intrusions in the shallow, that is approximately 10 km depth of the crust. The occurrence of abundant syn metamorphic intrusions in Buchan terrains lends support to the notion that the heat for metamorphism was magmatic. Thus, the terrains are often considered to be regional contact areoles possessing tectonite fabric instead of the horn-felsic fabric of the typical areoles. Now, let us try to understand the difference between Barrovian and Buchan zones. The lower pressure of equilibrium of Buchan aluminum silicate lead to significant contrast with the higher pressure Barrovian assemblages. Following are the contrasts, and they include: number 1, kyanite does not occur, but andalusite may be present in the Buchan zone. Cordierite is more common and forms at lower temperatures in Buchan zones. Number 3, garnet is less abundant or absent, and starolite may also be lacking in Buchan zones. In the Buchan zones, migmatites are less common and developed only at highest temperatures above the upper sillimanite isograde, where sillimanite potash feldspars are compatible. Now, these are the references which were used to prepare this presentation. Thank you.